Good evening. I'm Joseph Michael Carr, City of Chicago. Today, in this lovely building, South Shore Cultural Center, here listening to Maggie Brown, the daughter of the famous Oscar Brown Jr., give a free concert, wonderful jazz, and the community has come out. And just on the other side of this building, tonight was a community meeting in regard to the Obama Presidential Center coming to the 5th Ward in Jackson Park. And you have two competing events, and both of them very peaceful. Everyone was able to come out and listen to the jazz, or they were able to partake in talking about community issues like affordable housing, displacement, and gentrification. These are serious topics, not to be taken lightly, but the community does need a chance to embrace some of this summertime and feel good and smile and laugh. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a police shooting here in the South Shore community, and it's a very tense situation. Right now, there's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of crime because it's the summertime. It happens throughout the nation. When things heat up, unfortunately, criminal activity heats up as well. But what we want to do is focus on the community and its need for unity. Personally, I am for the Obama Presidential Center coming to the Jackson Park. I believe that it's time that we start looking at ways to compromise. Start worrying about a tax base. And then your taxes are your number one revenue stream for any type of government entity. You know, it funds your educational system, your streets, garbage pickup, your water. Everything is based off of their tax revenue. And if you don't have a strong tax base, then it suffers. There's a big difference between the South Shore end of the ward, the southern end of the ward, which is South Shore, and the northern end of the ward, which is Hyde Park, and then going further west, it has Greater Grand Crossing and Woodlawn. These areas don't experience the same type of criminal activity as South Shore because they're in a very diverse area. Hyde Park is almost like a South Loop. It's a joke for the people in Chicago that don't get that, but it has restaurant chains, it has a Target, it has hotels. You have a new hotel that's going up there currently. It has a lot of economic development. It's a lot of commerce moving in and out of that area. And that can be attributed to the University of Chicago. And I always joke and say the University of Chicago is the 5th Ward alderman when it comes to Hyde Park and Woodlawn. But it's true. They don't have the same issues that other parts of the ward have. And that's because the university doesn't allow that to happen. We had the shooting a couple of weeks ago, but that type of shooting would have never occurred on 53rd Street. That type of activity is just frowned upon. It's squashed before it can even get out of hand.
It's going to
bring multitudes of people together and be able to find a common ground. And really, that's what's needed right now. We need less around agitation and negativity, and really need to embrace a future that we can all embrace.
Now, what about the crime issue then?
Well, there are plenty of crime issues all through the city of Chicago. Unfortunately, South Shore has now been rubber stamped as one of those communities that has high unemployment, a lot of criminal activity, and when you kind of mix the two of those together along with the drug trade, I like to call it the black market, because the way that I see this as an MBA, that it's a marketplace, and if individuals are closed out of regular means of participating in the market, then they have to create their own market to make a living. And that market, in my opinion, is what is called the black market. And you have a lot of criminal activity that revolves around the sale of drugs and prostitution, and illegal stolen goods, and South Shore has recently become that type of community. That's not the only thing in our community, because the South Shore community is vibrant. It has been kind of the mecca of the South Side of Chicago for African Americans. We have had major star power living here. Muhammad Ali had a house here. Reverend Jeffrey Jackson still lives here. We also have a wealth of academics and legal minds and doctors that all stay right here in the South Shore community. So this is really a place where you have a community that you have very wealthy individuals, and then you have extreme poverty in some areas.
Now, what has the current Alderman, Leslie Harrison, what kind of action, what is her stand on the shootings of black men in her neighborhood, in her area, in her ward, and other acts that may have been committed or allegedly committed by the Chicago police upon black men and people in the community? Because there's many complaints I've been hearing myself.
Well, what I feel about Alderman Harrison is I don't believe that she wants to see anyone killed. You know, first of all, I'm not going to put that out there. I was actually very upset that any life was taken. And I know that Alderman Harrison probably feels the same way about a life being taken, a father's life. Has she done anything in regard to the shooting? No, it's under police investigation right now. Our civil oversight board is reviewing the police footage. I don't think Alderman Harrison has been involved in the process from that point of view. This is the first time that any type of police shooting has happened in South Shore that I can remember. There are shootings here every night. In fact, we are maybe a half a block away from the part of the South Shore community known as Terrortown, where there are multitudes of shootings on a daily basis. How I feel about my personal response to what happened with Mr. Justice being shot a couple of weeks ago is that I feel that we need to take a stance around losing life, period. I am a strong advocate for gun control, and I don't believe that their guns should be on the street. And if there was less criminal activity and we had real strong economic development in this area, better education, better schools for our children, and stronger safety. And when I talk about safety, I'm not talking about police actually being on the beat more, but actually the community being involved. I think that those three things can really help eliminate a situation occurring again around the police shootings. Safety is my number one priority because I feel if you don't secure South Shore, then you will never be able to attract businesses. What makes South Shore uninvestable right now is the crime and the safety. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we have lost the grocery store. It's been almost 5 years since the grocery store was here. We've lost our community bank, Urban Partnership Bank, which was originally South Shore Bank, was actually my first bank. When I was 2 years old, I got my first savings account there. And then we've lost our hardware stores. And as a businessman, I can tell you that one of the number one indicators on the growth of a community is hardware stores. We've lost 2 hardware stores over the last 3 years because no one's building new houses here. And those are economic indicators. But I think in order to really bring businesses and attract businesses, you have to secure the neighborhood. Because if I was a business owner, would I want my patrons to come in, and if they felt threatened, they wouldn't come. Nobody would nobody would come to my restaurant, nobody would come to my store if they were constantly worried about being approached by loose cigarettes or purchasing marijuana or whatever right now they're approaching people about. I wouldn't want my clients or my people coming to my restaurant or doing shopping to feel as if they're going to be harassed. So
Sing with us, please. Let's stop the violence. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Let's stop the violence. Stop the violence. And you know we must find another way. A better future starts with us today. You know we must find a better way. A better future starts with us today. You know we must find another way. I'm sure you recognize the words of that ditty.
Yep, and you know, when I was teaching and I wanted to show my students really where that came from, we were singing, quoting the Negro National Anthem. Actually, back in 1900, two brothers, like two brothers, their last name Johnson, James Roseman, and James Weldon and John Roseman Johnson. One wrote that poem and had 500 children learn it in order to sing it at a celebration of Lincoln's birthday down in Florida.
Right.
Back in 1900.
Right.
And the kids learned it and they sang it when as a treat when Booker T. Washington was visiting. Right. And so they learned it, and then a few years later, the brother John ended up putting music to it. Right.
Yeah.
And then the Johnson brothers,
Right,
they left the
left.
South and they went to New York. They were writing songs and doing things with plays, things I didn't even realize black folks were doing way back in the very early 1900s. They were off doing show business, but when they went back about,
They came back.
yeah, by
Little
1919,
did they know.
yep, the NAACP had turned that poem that became a song called "Lift Every Voice and Sing." They turned it into the
Black
Negro National
National
Anthem,
Anthem.
and it was pasted in